Click live. Hello, everyone. It is Monday and we are starting a new week. So, thank you guys for joining us on our first live panel discussion. Today is Monday, and in Miami-Dade, Broward counties, we are now in the phase 1 of reopening the the state for the COVID-19. So if I'm not mistaken, and any panelists correct me if I'm wrong, we are opening some retail, some restaurants. I believe maybe the gyms are now open, the hair salon, which I know us ladies are ecstatic about, are going to be opening. So we are in phase 1 of that reopening, and it's good that we're starting to get our businesses back up and running. But I'm gonna be completely honest. Some of us are scared. We are a little bit we don't know what to do, right? As an employee, do we just, wake up in the morning like normal and just go into the office, start shaking hands, hugging our coworkers? We haven't seen them in forever, we miss them, and then everything just kind of goes back to the daily routine of being in the office? Or do we or is there a new normal? Is there something now different that we need to do? So first of all, I want to thank you guys for being on the call and taking time out really to educate the viewers that are watching in the Miami Business Leaders Group, and educate us on what's going to happen now. So the title and the theme of this panel discussion is back to work now. What us as CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs, what is the next step? What do we do now? So thank you guys for joining. And I'm going to introduce our panelists. First, we got Alex Santos with Miami Payroll Center. He's going to be HR expert that's going to be talking about what are some of the new CDC guidelines. We have Jimmy Orjuela, and we also have Mark Silverman from Castle Systems. They're going to be talking about the security aspect from a more physical security. And then we have Reginald Andre with ARC Solvers, who's going to be speaking on the cybersecurity and the IT on getting back to work. And we have Eric Aguilar from Rapid Restoration, and he's going to be speaking on disinfecting your office and what are some of the things that you need to do. Actually, that you need to start doing on a regular basis to keep your office sanitized and within the CDC guidelines. We're excited to have you all. Um, we're going to give our viewers here just a couple of minutes to get a couple of seconds to get on the call here. And let me just make sure we don't have any members who are waiting to get on the group today. This is so exciting. As I was mentioning prior to us getting on the call, we have a total of 136 members now on this group within a week. We've been able to grow this group, and we have a powerful group of people that have joined us. We have CEOs, entrepreneurs, C-level executives. I mean, it is amazing the caliber of people that have decided to join us on this group. If you are in the group currently and you are wanting to invite your C-level friends, CEOs, managers, CFOs, decision makers within companies, please invite them to be part of this group. And one of the prerequisites to be part of the group is to actually get them to fill out the answers, the questions before joining the group. That is very important. Get them to answer the questions before joining the group. Why is that important? Because we want to make sure that we formulate future panels, future live activities to their niche market, right? We want to know what are the needs of our groups and how can we formulate future events that are going to make sure that we provide the best value inside this group for that. So thank you guys so much. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I see that we have some people who are tuning in, and we have a couple of shares. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and sharing this live. All right, so we're gonna start with Alex Santos from Miami Payroll. Welcome to the call today, Alex. And
Thank
my
you,
first
Tanya.
question, you're welcome. My first question to you is going to be, um, so it's Monday. You as a business owner, you walked in, you put in the key into your door, you opened it. Now what? Now what does an employer, a CEO that is in charge of employees, that manages employees, needs to know once they walked into their office this morning and they opened their door? What are some of the main key guidelines that employers need to know?
Well, you open the door, you come inside, and first thing I would tell you is look at the businesses that have remained open over the last 2 months that have been deemed essential. Look at the Publixes and the Home Depots and CVS's. A lot of these businesses have installed acrylic panels in order to provide a safe distance between their cashiers, their employees, and the public. Um, at this point in time, it's very important that businesses do um, whatever in their power they can to try and keep their employees safe and to not contribute to the spreading of this virus. Okay. The virus is still here. Just because we're all getting back to work doesn't mean that the virus has disappeared magically or that we have a vaccine yet. So the new normal is we have to learn how to live with this thing, but we also have to open up our economy and businesses safely. So I would tell all business owners, remember you have a responsibility, as stated by OSHA, to provide a sanitary and safe work environment for your employees. And so things like if you can afford to provide your employees with PPE like masks, gloves, sanitizers, if you can install barriers between your client population and your employee population, enforcing safe distancing, minimum 6 feet standards, all of those things that you're going to be able to do and use in the future. Uh, Basically, you're doing the best you can to keep your employees and your customers safe, right? So I would tell you, safety is the number one priority right now for everybody.
Now, let me ask you this, because you brought up a very good point about PPE and providing that to your employees. Is
Mhm.
that a mandate? Like, do you have to have, as an employer, do you have to have PPE for your employees?
It's not mandatory. However, it is one of the things that you can do if there was a claim against your business in the future by an employee that's thought that you weren't doing enough to keep them safe. Again, PPE is one of the things that you will be able to show, a court that hey, we were making our best attempt to follow the CDC's guidelines.
Okay, that's good. That's good to
Okay,
know.
obviously it all
Um,
depends on the nature of the business. If you're in a healthcare related field or things like that, you are required to provide PPE.
That's great. That's great. Another question that I'm going to pose to you is, some of the rights. What are some of the rights that employees have? Because I think it's important for our CEO people to know here. that employees do have rights. So what kind of rights can employees exercise at this time in regards to going back to work? Like, do I have to go back into my office? Could I get fired? What are some of the rights that I have as an employee?
So as an employee, it's important that you remember that, this is a job market that is deteriorating at tremendous, by leaps and bounds by the week. There are millions of people, filing for unemployment claims. Um, as an employee, you cannot refuse to come to work based purely on anxiety over being exposed to the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Okay. A lot of
Wow.
employers have had to lay off, workers. Some of them have, permanently cut staff, layoffs. Ask yourself as an employee, uh, is this really a time that you want to be, uh, asking to, you know, basically work from home from your employer? Um, this is a time when we all have to come together to try and find a safe way to bring our economy back. So,
Mm.
unless you have been directly exposed to someone with the coronavirus and have been told by doctors that you have to stay at home, or you are caring for somebody with the coronavirus, somebody's that's under quarantine and you are their provider of, care, um, you cannot refuse to come back to work, like I said, just because you're anxious about getting exposed.
Wow. And that's really interesting to know. And that's something that I, for example, did not know that. So an employee can get fired, or an employer has the right to possibly let go of an employee because they are refusing to come to work. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that's very valid, that our CEOs and entrepreneurs that are watching today need to know that right. I'm going to now go over to Eric, because you talked about being paranoid, having anxiety for, for coming back to work. So I want Eric from the Rapid Recovery team to talk about how often should companies now be disinfecting their offices, um, cleaning? How often do they need to be decontaminating their offices? Because I think that if you share some of that information, Eric, maybe employers as well as employees can feel a little bit at peace to say, hey, I know that every night after work, my employee, my boss is disinfecting our office. So talk to us a little bit about that, Eric, about disinfecting offices.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Um, well, thanks for the opportunity. And yes, everybody is kind of like freaking out and they don't know what to do. But the best that everybody can be doing is just imagine or assume that everything is contaminated, that everything is infected, or anybody can have it. The way we started taking the precautions in our office and attempting to um, get everybody to start preventing it is by constantly cleaning and application of fogging, application cleaning. So in our offices, yes, we did shut down the office as far as like not having anyone home. We sent people home to work from home and stuff, but then we then started having a reduced schedule from people in the office. But I would recommend that people clean their if they're gonna have 50% capacity or more, to clean their offices at least 3 times a week. And everybody that works in the offices continues to clean and sanitize their own areas. So in our office, we're working less than 50% capacity for the last couple of weeks, meaning only 3, 4 people in the office. And even though with that, we're cleaning our offices 3 times a week with disinfectant doors, bathrooms, keyboards, desk, chairs. And I mean, that's what I would recommend for any businesses that they have constant movement, especially now with having people. I would really encourage for everybody in their mindset to think that everything is contaminated, that anyone is contaminated. If you work at your station, you come in the next day, you clean it. You work your normal hours. Then when you're about to leave, you clean it. Now, I would encourage the business owners like myself that to provide those products, to having handy, and that like Alex was saying, that it's only a method of right now I'm not wearing anything now because I'm home, but when I go to the office, I did requested everybody to wear their mask. We label the doors. We don't allow anybody from outdoors, like delivery people, food delivery. Nobody comes into the office. But even though within the 3 or 4 people in the office, which is cut down to half, um, of like normal desk and people. I mean, there's probably more people, but that are in a regular day would be. But as of now, we just constantly cleaning, and I encourage people to do that. When you come in the morning, wipe your area, clean your area. If you're gonna get up from your area to go to the bathroom, if you can just spray it and clean it one more time, just like if you go to the DMV, if you go to the a public place. I was at the tag agency. After every client, they wipe the area. That's perfect. That's just keeping everybody safe.
So you're talking about like, a clean, but what are some of the things that you can do, like a deep disinfecting? Like, can you talk about that? Is there some special products? What can employers do? I know that they can hire rapid recovery tools to come in and do. So can you talk a little bit about what a deep disinfecting to kill viruses looks like?
Well, we are being hired by some large companies that they have, let's say 50 plus activity, 100 plus activity employees. Um, and yes, there are some, those are the ones, that's the type of cleaning I'm telling you that our office is taking activity 3 times a week as far as cleaning and fogging everything down. Now, a
Okay.
business and any other business like I don't know, 25 desks and you got 6 bathrooms and you got, I would really encourage the right people to decide, managers or whoever, to find the right company or call us for a quick, what's the right price for a fogging application with antimicrobial that everything gets sprayed down and then wiped down, and then wipe the floors, kind of like just fog everything down and decontaminate it, at least a deep cleaning, at least at the minimum 1 time a week, and then everything else they can do their own. But I think the busiest traffic you're gonna have, the more it's gonna require.
Got it. Got it. That's great. That's good stuff. So, we're talking about employees and going back to work. And one main concern that I do have, which is the fact that some of our small businesses that are probably watching, had to possibly let go of some of their employees with not being able to hire them back. So there was a big safety security that I was specifically concerned about when it comes to now opening up your offices. And maybe you had to call a couple of your employees and say, look, I'm sorry, it's Monday and we're opening up, but we can't hire you back. So just imagine the stress levels of people not, I mean, which is totally understandable, people not being able to provide for their families. Job security is low, companies might not be hiring as much anymore. So we invited Castle Systems to talk about the security aspect, the physical security aspect from an employer standpoint. What can they do to secure their offices, secure their places of work, secure their places of home, whether you live in a building, condominium, or you have an office. So I'm going to invite the guys now from Castle Systems, Jimmy and Mark, to kind of dive in a little bit on that conversation regarding the security aspect of for the employer and the other employees in the office.
Awesome. So I'll kind of take a stab at it first, Mark, if that's okay.
Perfect. Yep.
So first off, Tanya, Andre, thanks for having us. Great to be a part of your group. And I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. So, regarding safety and security, we've seen a number of concerns and challenges, and we mainly work with real estate owners and property managers. So, a number of things that have come up, like the first thing is hands-free. So, this notion of, utilizing a fob or a biometric scanner or, even just pressing a button on an elevator, these are all things that, 3, 4 months ago, they were just so natural. And now we have to kind of think about it twice. Is the area sanitized? What are we going to do? And so we're getting a lot of questions about, a hands-free approach, a true hands-free approach. So I'll talk kind of a little bit about the concerns and challenges that we're seeing, and then I'll talk about how we're kind of solving those. So number one is hands-free. Number two is, and to your point, Tanya, personnel, staffing security personnel has been an issue. Staffing really any personnel during this pandemic has been an issue. So you're not having that same security presence, or it's a challenge to have that same security presence at your sites. So people are now looking to supplement their on-site security personnel with security systems, and that's where our specialty lies. So that's issue or challenge number two, and then number three is being able to remotely access your security systems, whether it's security cameras or access control. So, some of the more antiquated systems are usually hosted on site. So you have your DVR, your NVR for your security, for your CCTV, and then also a lot of your access control equipment is also maintained and housed on site in a lot of cases. So we're seeing a lot more interest in cloud hosted approaches. So those are the three main pieces: hands-free, not being able to staff your security personnel, and then having remote accessibility to all of your security systems. So I'll kind of tackle the first one. So hands-free, we've actually developed this a while ago, but it's now really catching a lot of interest from property managers again and real estate owners. We have a Bluetooth low energy technology. So what that is you're basically able to use your cell phone as your fob credential, right? So if you have a access control reader to get into the main lobby, instead of pulling out a fob on your keychain or using a biometrics fingerprint scanner, which nowadays you can imagine, how people would feel about that. You're now using your phone, and with a push of a button on your phone or just a wave at the reader with your hand, you're now gaining access to the building and to the amenities. And in certain situations, we've actually partnered and integrated with Allegion, that's a lock manufacturer. So we're actually now taking the hands-free experience from the amenities and the main building all the way through to the individual residences. So
the curb to the couch.
Yeah, from the curb to the couch, exactly. Now, on the security personnel piece, the second issue I brought up or concern that property managers are having. So we have a video platform that allows for you to view your cameras remotely at any given time from any internet-enabled device. So it's a very useful tool. And then, also we're able to catalog and use analytics on our cameras to say, for example, in this camera view, if we see a person, a vehicle, a dog, any type of motion, please send the property manager or the real estate owner, whoever, your security personnel on site, send them a clip of the event, which could be up to 10 seconds. And then the last piece, again, on the remote accessibility. So Castle, as a security systems provider, we have everything is cloud hosted. So you're basically able to manage all of your security aspects remotely, whether it's from the comfort of your home or from your corporate office.
That's great. And Mark, Do you have, because I know Jimmy spoke more about, the property management, real estate. What can some of these same things be used for commercial businesses as well?
Yep, absolutely. So you think about commercial real estate, it breaks up between multifamily and an office. And
Right.
from the multifamily side, everything we've built these buildings to be, this sense of community is now on hold. From the office side, you have both the owners, the managers, and then the tenants, the employers themselves, really struggling to figure out how to approach it. So use an example as you introduced us. You talked about it's Monday, we're reopening, we're welcoming our employees back. And my friend Jane, she's no longer with the company. She can't come back. And the last time Jane, she had a physical credential on her. She had a fob, she had a key, she had whatever systems. So Reginald, I'm sure in the IT world, if that happens, you hit a couple buttons and she can't get in her email, she can't get into any of the systems. Same thing should happen with the access control to the building. So for years, access control companies have been able to integrate with the authoritative source. So the most common is the Active Directory. Access control companies don't like doing it. It takes time. It takes people. It's in the weeds where most companies don't want to be in the weeds. With Castle, we want to be your partner. That's why we have built the infrastructure we have. So in this example, if the access control is tied to the authoritative source, when Reginald turns off the access, so the email and everything like that, regardless of where the fobs and the credentials sit, that employee now loses access to the building. The exposure is not letting a potential threat, I should say, into the building. Exposures, I might have lost an $8 fob. At the same time, buildings are saying, oh, let's get thermal cameras. So when somebody comes in the lobby, let me see the temperature. And others say, well, you're going to fob into the building, you're going to credential into the building. Let's have a reader at the exit door. So you credential out, which allows you to truly contact trace. That is, safety doesn't trump life safety. I'm sorry, security doesn't trump life safety. So you can't require somebody to actually have to credential to get out of the building. You always have to let somebody leave. And you're seeing a lot of these conversations. Somebody says, I want this, I want that. Thermal cameras have been around for a long time. They're unproven. And there's still, and Alex, you'd have to tell me, there's still legislation to be had, whether it's legal to, let somebody, hey, I think my camera says you have 101 fever. I don't know if you bike to work, because if I bike to work, I'm going to be looking like I'm having a heart attack or something. But, I don't know if you're allowed. And what we've heard from property managers are, if somebody's paying us rent and they're a CEO of a company and they want to get in their suite and they have 105 fever, we're going to let them in. Because the next building. And then lastly,
Right.
about the hands-free. So, my phone, which if I'm on the back, my phone could be in my pocket or a purse. And I come to the building, if I'm credentialed appropriately, the building knows I'm approaching, the doors will open up automatically. Or I want a little more security, I want to show intent, I wave at the reader. Again, it opens up. And then the third piece is you tap. The nice thing is, a lot of the companies in this space are being very reactive, right? They're saying, I'm going to buy this from this vendor and that from that vendor, and I'm going to integrate it all for you. And more or less, once we do that, it's going to be good luck to you, sir or madam. For Castle, it's, we have our own developers. We've worked with the manufacturers and actually found how to implement this technology into our system and have, staff 24 hours a day, both physical, and over the phone to help troubleshoot it. It was Christmas Eve at midnight and your building's not secure and we can't fix it within a couple hours, I'll get you a guard service. And it's my cost.
Mhm. That's great. That's so good to know. Thank you so much, Mark, for that information. So you talked about, accessing, disabling access, and fobs and all that. So you kind of posed those questions or those kind over to Reginald. So I'm going to now go over to Reginald Andre from Arc Solvers Cybersecurity and IT. Um, what are some of the things that now employers and employees need to know about properly keeping their equipment clean? Give us some tips. Give employers and employees some tips about keeping their computers clean, especially for maybe some offices that do computer sharing or desk sharing. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is, as Eric mentioned, you definitely want to disinfect after every shift change. We deal with a lot of property management companies where you may have like a front desk, a concierge, guards, and things like that. And you definitely want to, sanitize the phone, sanitize the mouse, the keyboard, anything that they're touching. We've actually even seen some properties where they've actually allowed them to bring in their own mouse. So you can bring in like your own wireless USB mouse and you plug in, and for the 8 hours that you're working or whatever the time is, you plug in your mouse, you use it, and when you're done, you take your mouse your mouse away.
Okay, so bringing in your own mouse could be something that employers can possibly use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. What about, because another key that Mark and Jimmy talked about was about the security. Now they deal more with the physical aspect of security, but what about now that CEOs, business owners had let their employees go home? I know that we helped many of our clients transition their employees from work to home, but what now needs to happen for the going from work back into the office on the cybersecurity side to make sure that all information is safe, that there's no compromising, that maybe I had a laptop in my home office and all of a sudden I downloaded all of my private files into a personal, server or another. So what cybersecurity do employers need to know so that they can secure their information?
Yeah, sure. So when the transition of everybody working from the office to the home, it was just like an overnight thing. Everybody had to do it. They weren't prepared. So a lot of employers allowed their employees to just use their personal computer. And now what you have is you have a lot of corporate data on that personal computer. So employers should advise their employees to get a flash drive and download all of that information to a flash drive and bring it back onto the corporate side. Also, if there was any remote access, especially as we talked about, you may have certain employees that you just can't bring back yet. But if there's any remote access via remote desktop connection, TeamViewer, or any of the many softwares that's out there, you want to turn them off. Once the employee manages to go back to the office and there's no need for them to work from home, you want to definitely make sure that that's off, because your employee's personal computer, you weren't protecting that computer. So if they ever get a virus or they ever get hacked, and that computer got hacked and now they can remote into the corporate computer, you've just opened up a big security hole.
Wow. And I know that Arc Solvers has some tools and some software to help companies stay protected for those types of incidences, and we can continue to help you manage your cybersecurity so that there is no loss. I know that phishing and hacking has become huge. Hackers and scammers are using COVID-19 as an excuse to send out these crazy phishing emails saying things like, oh, we know a friend or we know a neighbor that lives next to you that's infected. Click here to find out who it was. We've gotten all kinds of things. So Reginald, can you talk a little bit about that and some of what to do to protect employers from getting scammed through the phishing emails?
Absolutely. So it's all coming down to training, because the employee is the number one way how hackers can get into the computer. So employers should remind their employees, be careful what you're clicking on. Be careful on what attachments. If you weren't expecting an email from somebody, if you weren't expecting a file from somebody, don't click on it. Call them up and say, hey, John, I received this email. Was this you? Even last week, we got a sample email from a client, and it looked legit. Everything looked good. And when you double click on it, it took you to a website where they wanted you to enter credentials. And it was related to COVID. It was related to something that the business was doing with COVID. And they just, they're just not thinking right now. Everybody's just clicking. So definitely provide training to your employees. And of course, that's something that we can do to let them know what to look for in the email to see if it's a phishing attack or not.
That's great. And I know that ARC Solvers provides cyber security training for your employees. And we do this for small businesses, whether you are our client or not. We will be more than happy to provide you with a cybersecurity awareness training to train your employees on what to look for in their emails so that they don't click. And then next thing you know, you guys are out of thousands and almost sometimes millions of dollars in phishing attacks. I'm going to go over back to Eric from the Rapid Recovery team. So Eric, there you mentioned fogging, and I want to know is the fogging application good enough for decontamination? Is that all you need to do, or are there any other steps that employers need to take? Can you talk to us a little bit about what is fogging for those that might not know what that is?
The fogging process, it's a minimum application using the appropriate product that will kill the viruses, not only coronavirus, but there's many other viruses like, there was most of these products that are EPA approved, hospital level cleaning, that they're not found easily in Home Depot and Walmart and places like that. You have to buy them by concentrate gallons, and then we're kind of used to buying them because we use it for mold, we use it for biohazard cleaning. But yes, I mean, Lysol and stuff, and just like people will apply Lysol to your phone, and people grab their phone all the time, and for example, myself, when I come home, I put my phone in the counter, I spray Lysol front and back, I leave it there for 5-10 minutes, and I let the product do its job. So the application method is it's what you see on TV and what people are doing, just applying the product, let the product kill the viruses by giving them, give the product the 10-15 minutes, and it will kill the viruses. If you want to get a little bit more in depth and you want to use your hands, you want to wipe it down, it's even better. But at a minimum, the fogging application, which is a mist of the water-based product, it's at least the minimum that's what we've been doing.
Awesome. Now, Eric, if we were to call your company to come disinfect our office, and this is just for the audience that's watching, if they're interested in calling Rapid Recovery Team to come and do a fogging decontamination in their office, are your employees fully equipped? I mean, is this something that can be done with employees while they're working, or does this need to be done after hours or before business hours? Tell us a little bit about that.
Definitely the scheduling has to be coordinated. Yes, with the process of the cleaning, people have to be out. And then if you do the fogging, people have to be out for a couple of hours. We recommend at least 4 hours. So usually would be at nighttime before going to open the business, or just a weekend. But yeah, the times that we've been doing it, there's no one occupying the building. Personal things are covered, but the things that are to be touched by the product, like, you know, by the chemical. I don't want to say chemicals. People say, oh, that's so, it can hurt me. It can harm me. But no, the product doesn't, is, you know, will not harm anyone. Obviously, you cannot drink it, but, or you cannot taste it, but, you know, people is out, and then when they come back, everything is normal. You don't smell anything. It doesn't bother you, because it dissipates. But, you know, the most important thing is that the product reaches all surfaces where hands have touched or people talk. And then, you know, just like how they say that when you're talking and you automatically releasing your saliva or your spores, that's how it goes in everywhere. But the fogging, it's a good method, but definitely by wiping by hand, it helps a lot more.
Awesome, awesome. That's such great information, especially for people, because I believe that this is something new, Eric, that companies never before thought about. You know, yeah, they thought about the normal cleaning, right? You wipe down your desk and all that stuff, but now we're having to think about deeper levels, right? Deeper cleaning, deeper decontamination. So that's just great information to know. So Alex, I'm going to come back to you, because we spoke about thermal temperature taking. Tell us about employers and employees now knowing your health status, right? What are some of the HIPAA rules when it comes to, I'm an employee, I'm an employer, and now I know that employee A has a fever or has, you know, whatever can be detected. How does HIPAA now come into play with all that? Has there been any new policies coming in with regarding COVID? You're on mute. I'm sorry, Alex, you're on mute.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's very important to keep HIPAA in mind during this this time when dealing with, you know, employee health issues. Remember that just because you can take an employee's temperature and you can physically see when an employee is sick or coughing or sneezing or, you know, rubbing their eyes, and you can see when somebody's not feeling good. It's very important to remember that the employee's health information is their business and not yours. I would encourage all businesses to, you know, like Andre said, with regards to the cybersecurity and ongoing training, it's very important to remind your managers, you cannot ask somebody if they have the coronavirus disease, okay? You can ask, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? You look like you're not feeling well. If you see somebody at your office that's, you know, clearly has a cold, you can send them home. You can take proactive measures to protect everybody else in the workplace. But what you can't do is have one of your managers say, hey, do you have COVID-19? That would potentially be a HIPAA violation. So very important, you know, again, safety is the #1 concern right now. If you do see an employee that is, you know, sick or is possibly showing symptoms, or you are taking your employee's temperature as they come into work and somebody registers a high fever, send them home. Send them home. You know, you have the right to do that as an employer. Again, don't ask about specific diseases or illnesses that they may or may not have. Your managers are not medical professionals. They are not to diagnose the employee. They're not to give them, you know, Tylenol or anything like that. Just again, worry about the concern and the safety of the rest of your employees.
Right. Now, Alex, before we got on the call, actually, you were giving some amazing information regarding possible lawsuits. Can you kind of revisit that a little bit for the audience? Because I thought that was so good to hear, especially for our CEOs that are listening, who are owners of companies, regarding lawsuits that can possibly take place now for work and COVID.
Yeah, so you know, when bringing employees back from this lockdown that we've been under for the last 2 months, there are a lot of different pitfalls for employers with regards to everything from, like, how was the employee, you know, relieved of his work? Was he or she furloughed? Was he laid off? Was he terminated? How was that done is going to impact how you can now rehire, or in the case of furlough, how you can recall that employee. So again, besides the OSHA guidelines that say that you as an employer have to provide a safe and sanitary work environment for your employees that's free from danger, you got to ask, like, how was the employee let go? How are you going to bring them back? What documentation? If you're going to rehire an employee, do you need a new W-4? Do you need a new I-9 from the employee? So you have to be very careful when you laid off the employee or you sent them home because your business was struggling, right? Did you allow the employee to use up PTO time before, possibly continuing to pay the employee because you had applied for payroll protection plan, money? So there's just so many different issues that as an employer, it's a minefield out there right now. And the thing is, the regulations, the guidelines being put out by the authorities differ from the local, state to the federal level. So the environment is changing almost daily, if not, weekly. And you have to be very careful with the compensation agreements, arrangements that you had with your employees when bringing them back. The CARES Act, again, there are things there that are potential pitfalls for an employer. If you're going to fire somebody right now, whom, you counted their wages in when applying for a PPP loan. Again, there's just a myriad of issues that as an employer, you need to be wary of, and you need to be very careful not to open yourself up to employee claims when opening up your business again.
That's so good to know, Alex, because I know that we are definitely here to protect our employers, our CEOs, our small businesses. So thank you so much for that. Alex, just real quick, what kind of size clients do you take? Just so that if anyone that is tuning in and listening to this call needs any more advice in regards to what to do.
Sure. We work with all sizes of clients. Our payroll platform is in the cloud. So I've got mom and pop shops that we do, we service their payroll and HR needs. I've got companies with 20, 25, 30. We have clients with over 1,000 employees that we service. So the size of the client really is just indicative of the size of the needs that they may have. But the larger you become as an employer, for instance, I would tell you, after 50 employees, there's a lot of other laws in addition to Obamacare and the FMLA and all these other things that you now have to be cognizant of as an employer. So yeah, if anybody listening needs some help, I'd be more than happy to talk to them about, how they can best, bring their company back.
That's great. And I know that you're also part of the Miami Business Leaders Group. So I'm sure they can put some questions on here. If you have questions for Alex regarding going back to work, or for Eric or Jimmy, they are part of the Miami Business Group. So I know that they have a representative that's part of the Miami Business Leaders. So you can put your questions down in the comments and they can go back and answer any other questions, especially if you're watching a replay of this video. I'm going to go back to Castle Systems. So I know that Castle is a nationwide company. For example, I know, Mark, you said that you're in Washington, D.C. Welcome to sunny South Florida. As you can see our backgrounds here.
I wish I was there in real life.
All right. So you guys are a nationwide company, have a nationwide presence, and you serve several different industries. So what else is Castle working on to aid in the return to work normalcy?
So we're working with, Jimmy, is it okay if I take this one first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just want to be courteous, so we're working with a lot of the top manufacturers. For example, you heard Jimmy say earlier that we want to wave or go hands-free at the reader. The challenge then is I've now gotten into my office building. I can get into my suite in a touch-free manner. But guess what? That elevator in between, I had to push a button. So we've actually started partnering. There's, 2 elevator companies, I can't name them yet, that we're working on a touch-free integration. So for example, if Eric, walks in his office building, he uses the hands-free to get his credential. We know that Eric's office is on the 7th floor. So when he presents a credential, in the elevator, waves or however he chooses to do it, automatically the 7th floor will light up. Or if he wants to change floors, he can do that on his app. So, with Castle, we're constantly trying to evolve. We know that, this challenge isn't going to be, our company alone can't make it better, right? But we need to, get smart people together. From the multifamily space, everybody says you'll use my app and you'll use this app and that app. The residents will not deal with 5, 6, 7 apps. They're going to deal with 1, maybe 2. So, we want to help you from the curb to the couch. What happens inside the apartment? What happens with the dog walkers and then all these visitors? You probably have a tenant delight or resident delight service. Let's get our engineers with your engineers. Let's do an integration. All it takes is a couple hours, and we'll have customers for life, because instead of having to call a number of different vendors, we put it all together.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. So yeah, we kind of spoke about the Bluetooth technology, but there's still a certain component there for you to have to be involved and touch things. So Mark spoke about the elevators. We're also working with door hardware manufacturing companies. So we're reinventing and figuring out how to use, for example, the ADA handicap push buttons. We're able to use that motorized hardware to release the door upon presenting a credential. So you're now showing up to the building. You don't have to present a fob or a biometric fingerprint scanner. It's automatically reading your phone Bluetooth signal. The door is opening by itself. You're walking over to the elevator, and you are presenting your credential, and the floor that you live on is automatically lighting up. So it's a true kind of hands-free experience, from the moment you pull up until you get to your unit. And that's what people are kind of looking for in the marketplace now.
It's great. That is so good to know, especially if you live in a condo, some of these luxury, beautiful high-rise condos that we have here in Miami, Florida. You definitely want the highest technology when it comes to protecting your residents in your communities and the employees that work at these management offices. So we are now going to wrap up here with some questions. I want to give time. We actually have had some questions from viewers coming in. I have a question that came in on my end that is posed to Eric. Eric, is there a special training or certification to do COVID-19 decontamination? Does anyone need to, or can anyone just kind of walk in off the street, or can you assign an employee to come in and do decontamination? Can you talk? We had a question, so can you answer that for one of our viewers? You're on mute, Eric.
Just like Alex there. Tanya, so well, there's no requirement of a company to be like, obviously in the last 30 days, 45 days, randomly to go take a class and have certification. I would say that as an owner and as a technician that I also have been for many years, hands-on, doing biohazard cleaning or doing mold remediation cleaning, that COVID-19 is, it's a virus, you can get infected, but anybody that has had any training or experience performing a job in a contaminated environment, such as fire damage with soot, category 3, which is dirty water from sewer, or biohazard blood and stuff like that. You remember the H1N1 came on board 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. People were freaking out too. Back then, companies like restoration companies who've been in this environment have the experience in training that all it is just a safety training, like OSHA training. Managers, company owners, they just have to be constantly training their employees to first protect themselves, because by protecting yourself with masks, gloves, let's say maybe Tyvek, you protecting the rest of the people. But at a minimum, definitely, wearing masks and gloves. That's the bare minimum. But I would say that no, there's no specific training right now or certification that the state of Florida or the country requires. Most people in the last 30, 45 days, maybe 60 days, actually just saw it so much constantly that, oh, probably all you need is a pump, the right product, and get one of those machines called fogger, and spray everything down. Anybody can try it, but obviously the best result you're going to get out of somebody that's been in the environment of cleaning, but you're also protecting yourself and you're protecting the people you perform in the work for. So I would just say look for the background of those people to at least have some background in the field of mold, water damage, because water damage to us is so nature. It's like everyday nature. We go out to houses for mold or water damage that's been dirty, that smells bad. We're wearing masks, we're wearing gloves. So to us, it's nature. To us, it's just like nothing. But for anyone else out there who they think they can wear N95 when doing a fogging, that's not the right thing. You need a better protective shield, mask that that covers you and protects you from breathing these products that can harm you if you breathe them and you're not protected right. So just be careful who you choose, and look up the company before you just decide to hire or pay someone.
Right. And if not, they can definitely call the recovery team to get the job done. That's great. Well, we're about to pose another question, and I believe this question came in from our audience over at ARC Solvers. Now, the question was in regards to the HEROES Act. Contact tracing is included to be passed. How does this apply to small business owners who might be required to report high fevers or COVID-19 diagnosis? What happens if you don't report? I believe, Alex, maybe you can answer that.
Honestly, I'm not familiar with, what happens, the consequences for not reporting. Obviously, as an employer, you want to do your best to try and, help the country in general fight this virus. I don't see why you wouldn't report, but I do not know if there are going to be, some consequences for not reporting.
Good. And of course, we can always revisit that. There's another question that came in by Jerry, who's also part of our group here, Miami Business Leaders. It says, and this I believe is for Andre, does your company assist with developing policies and procedures to help manage the protection of data and equipment while the employee is working remotely?
Yeah, absolutely. We had our managed service clients, we already had something in place so that, be it a personal computer or corporate computer, they already had the systems inside the office that would allow the remote sessions to happen. I would say about 95% of our clients in the cloud. So everything that they were used to doing in the office, they were able to do from home. And it was all documented. So it was a very easy process in sending out the documentation to the employees and say, okay, now that you're working from home, if you're using a personal computer, this is how you continue to work. So it was a very, very easy process.
Awesome. And we have those in place, like you said. That's great. There's another question, and then we're just going to wrap up, that came in from Agnes. And I believe this is more for Alex. Discrimination lawsuit against a certain race to assume they have COVID-19. Do you think that's a possibility? I'm not exactly sure how the question is being posed, but can that happen, or do you have any feedback on that?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is discrimination. You mean like while hiring somebody because you suspect that they have COVID-19? If that's the
Discrimination law
case,
against a certain race to assume they have COVID-19.
so maybe like refusing, I think they're referring to possibly like, let's say, refusing to hire a candidate who comes into your office applying for a job because they are African American, because you think that they may be at a greater risk of contracting the coronavirus. I haven't seen it. Is it possible that it might happen? Sure, anything's possible, but I haven't really seen any of that. I wouldn't. Yeah, I just don't know if that's going to be, you know, a concern.
Okay, good. Well, I want to take this time now. We are going to close this. Listen, this was great. I learned stuff that I didn't know, that I know our viewers are going to definitely benefit from. If you are not part of a business group, we welcome you here in Miami Business Leaders. We want to do more things like this. And as soon as we're able to get back out, we're going to be doing more things live, more meet and greets. So tell your CEO friends, C-level executives to come and be part of this group so that they can also get all this valuable information that we share today. Another thing that I want to say is thank you. Thank you to Castle Systems and Rapid Recovery Team, and also ARC Solvers. They are also sponsors and supporting our ARC Connect event. That's going to be happening later this year. Dates will be released as soon as we can get a more stable reopening date. We will have that event, and we are going to invite all of our Miami business leaders, friends, to that Art Connect event that's going to be happening in Miami. We are super excited. Thank you guys for sponsoring and coming alongside us to put that event together. And that also goes to charity, so it's also going to be doing a great work in the community. So thank you guys for that. Alex, with Miami Payroll, thank you for spending your time, and your wealth of knowledge was incredible. And Andre with ARC Solvers, thank you again for being on this call and hosting, being the sponsor of Miami Business Leaders. We are the sponsors of this group. So thank you guys all. And we hope that whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, you continue to post questions. We will make sure that we will get back to you and answer any of your questions. Reach out to any of the panelists that are part of the Miami Business Leaders Group. If you want any of their services, they are here to help you. And thank you all. It's 1 o'clock. We're right on time. You guys continue to have a blessed day and a great week. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.